All right, what's good, everybody? It's been a little minute since we've had a stream, but hey, we're here. Got my coffee right here. Let me get it in view. There we go. Of course, we got our curiosity with us as always, and yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. I'm gonna start off reviewing some hiragana. It's been a good little bit since I learned and streamed and everything. I definitely want to get more consistent. I've been slacking. No excuses for it. But yeah, I'm not even gonna try to make any. I'm just gonna carry on and yeah, let's start. Let's get this shindig on the road. All right, that's gonna be the I. This is gonna be obviously it's red. Um, this is na, I believe. I believe red is that one. Ni is gonna be this one right here. All right, we got po. This is gonna be niat. We've got boot. This is gonna be whoa, I believe. Nice. We've got dope. Nice. Zoo is gonna be this one right there. We've got jo right there. Pyo is gonna be that one. Oh, I folded that. I realized like the second I clicked it that it was the wrong one. All right. To is gonna be, I believe, this one. Nice. We've got Zo, I believe. Nice. Bu is going to be this one right here. Ro right there. Gyo is going to be this guy right there. Wa is, I believe it's this one. Cool beans. Chu is going to be that. Oh, what am I doing? I'm off today. Oh well. Ah is right there. We've got Ko is that one right there. All right, this one is gonna be Bio. Easy money, love to see it. We've got Myo. All right, Cho is going to be this guy right there. We've got Mu. Do slash Zoo. All right, we've got slash Zoo. It's going to be this one right there. Nice. All right, this is Net. This one right here is going to be Hia. Saw my quality dipped a little bit distracted. We're good though. Gotta stay the course. Mia right there. We've got Pa, which is gonna be that one right there. P is right there. Q is right there. Pia or Bia rather. Cha. Nyo is going to be right there. Sa right here. Q. We've got Gyu. Oh, or no, Hyo. Nice. Ju is going to be this guy right there. All right, we only missed two. That's pretty solid. We'll take that. Pyo is going to be this guy right there. And Chu is going to be that. Lovely jubbly. Let's tap the gotcha machine. Get our little prize. Damn. Someone got to my boy. Little sushi roll right there. Rip little homie, man. It's tough. Messed up what they did to him. All right. We're gonna keep studying hiragana here. Mute. We've got et, he, hu, ryu. O is going to be this guy right there. Ki Mi. Ga is right there. Bo is going to be right there. We've got me. It's the one that looks like a pretzel. Te is going to be this guy right there. Ho. I believe that is. Nice. Easy money. We've got so. I almost said te. Good thing I didn't. The slash G is going to be right there. Q is going to be this guy right here. Ja is right there. We've got Gya right there. Da is going to be this guy. U is going to be, I believe it's that one. Nice. We've got Mo. Sho right there. Kya. Pya. Ha. Go is right there. Zet. We've got Tsu. Ta. Ket. Ka. Get. U. Chi. Bet. Nyo. Shu. Za, I believe this is nice. Pet. And then last but certainly not least, oh, that's so tough. I folded right at the end. Damn, that's the perfect score too. You hate to see it. That is true travesty. All right, let's tap the gotcha machine, see what we get. Blueberry jam. Pretty cool. All right, and now the last 24 last 24 symbols under hiragana. Let's get right into it. We've got ya right there. Na is going to be right there. Su. All right, we've got ra. Bi. Yo. Ba. Gi. No. Pet. Re. No. Nice. Okay, I was a little bit unsure there, but hey, we made it through. You. Set. Real. And. All right, we've got Poo. De is going to be this guy right here. Nice. Chi. Ria. I believe this is Ra. Ru. Okay. All right. Noted for next time. Gu is right there. Xia or Sha. G is right there. All right. And we said that was Ru. Okay. 96%. Not bad. We want to be better, but hey, baby steps, baby steps. All right. We've got. Is that Henru? Let's see. Survey says. Oof. Nah. Enroll? I don't know. It's not that deep. Forgive and forget. There we go. We'll take that though. All right. We've got our katakana. I actually want to do a review. I don't want to learn new terms right now. All right. More settings. So it's a little bit too many settings. Focused review. 40. Anything in the schedule. Let's get right into it. Re is right there. He. We've got meh, which is gonna be, I believe, this guy right here. Easy money. So this is su. We've got te right there. Go. I believe this is root. Nice. That yawn means that I need more coffee. So I'm gonna take a little coffee break real quick. Nice. All right, Sue. So we've got Fu. It's gonna be this guy. Ni is gonna be that guy. We've got Det. Mu. Ko. Bu is gonna be that guy. Nice. Zu right there. We've got Net. Ya is gonna be this guy right there. This one. I want to say it's. I think it is Wo. Nice, cool. All right, we've got Sa. Het. G is gonna be. Let's see. That guy. Nice. All right. I believe that's traditionally Ho, so we'll go boat. D/G is gonna be that guy right there. We've got Ma. Zo is gonna be. Want to say this, so I'm gonna. Nice. We've got No. Right there. This is either Te or To. I say To. Nice. All right, we've got Ha. B is gonna be this guy right there. Actually, it's not. I lied. Let's see. Get. Nice. All right. We've got Nu, because it looks like the number 7. I believe that's Ha. That's Ke. Okay. Oh, nice. You is gonna be this guy right here because you are number 1. Want to say Fu, but I feel like it's Ra. So we're gonna go Fu anyways, and it is Ra. Okay, noted for next time. We've got Ku right there. This one is going to be Fu or Da. Sheesh, I am not performing up to snuff right now, but it's okay. Just gonna focus on getting the next one right. We said this one was Ra. B is going to be that guy. Nice. All right, we've got Ket, and then could it be Zu? Maybe. Da. Okay, that's right. Da. Okay. Nice. 90%. Not pretty far below our standards here, but it's okay as we get a little park bench to kind of boost the team morale. All right, we're gonna study some more katakana, go through all our review terms. This is not the review. 25 to review. Can I click that? More. Okay, no, I can't do this. Okay. Settings, focused review, more settings. Nope. Technical difficulties. Focused review. All right. I think we're gonna go 25, and we're just gonna hope, cross our fingers, that the system's smart enough to do the 25 that we still need to review. We have U right there. Nu is going to be that. Okay. We've got B. O. Set. Bet. Get. Colt is going to be that guy right there. We've got you. Nat is going to be, I believe it's this guy. Cool. Matt. Bolt is going to be that guy right there. Moo right there because it's a guy making a muscle, a little flex. Cool. All right, this one. It's not Gak because there's no quotation marks. It's not Da for the same reason. I know it's not Ko, so it must be E or Yo. I believe that's So. All right. We've got Ya. O. Zu. Bi. No. Na. It's gonna be I believe this one. Nice. Hat. We've got Ra. Re. Set. Okay, that's he. I am all over the place today. All right. This one's going to be Det. And then we've got E. Cool. All right, 92%. Still below our standards, but it's all good. In the hood, we got epic pull here. We got the chess.com, like Magnus Carlsen collab patch right here. Very rare. Goes for hundreds of dollars on the market. Very cool. All right. Learned recently. Okay. I wish there was a way. Oh, excuse me. I wish there was a way that we could review specifically these 19 terms. Unless there is a way. Can I study these or not? I guess I can't study these. Oh well. I say we do 20 more katakana real quick, and then I'm going to learn it or move into the words. And then from there, the world's our oyster. Let's see. 20. All right. We've got Sa. I believe that's that one. Na is going to be, I want to say this one, so I'm going to. Cool. We've got Po. Ra. Gu. Zep. Su is going to be this guy right there. We've got Bu. I believe that's that one. Ga right there. Yu, the number one. Ni. We've got that Shi. Mu. O. Ro, because it's like a robot head, kind of. Wo. This one is going to be Wa. Cool. Is going to be this one right here because it looks like an axe. An axe starts with A. We got G. It's going to be this one. No. Easy 100. We'll take those. Unfortunately, these last 13 review that we still have to review are going to have to wait for a little bit, but we did get a pretty cool jack-lantern thingamabob right there. Let's move on to words for Japanese basics here. We go a big 29 because that's how many terms we have. I'm going to take another swiggeroni of coffee. Tomorrow, Ashita. Yasui, cheap. All right. Sushi, one of my favorite foods of all time. Student is going to be, we've got Kaishain, Gakusai, that one? No.
学生
Gakusei, rather. Alright. This one, Kaishain, I think. I want to say it's company worker, so I'm going to. Koko, I believe, is here. We've got pen. Pencil is going to be Enpitsu, right there. We've got Nichiyobi, Sunday. Busy, occupied. That's gonna be. It's not Takai. It's not Yasui. Shinsetsu or Irogashi. Irogashi.
忙しい
Isogashi, rather. Let me not butcher shit. We've got Takai, high, tall, famous, well known. Let's see. Yasui. Oh, I
有
literally
名
I literally just had that one too. I just shot myself in my foot or my sheesh. What's the saying? Just shot myself in the foot or whatever. Yeah, that's what I did.
有名
Yume. Okay, noted. We've got Yankee. Kind it's not, it's lively. Okay.
元気
We are selling the bag hardcore, but it's okay. We're going to bounce back, get this one right, because GTA taught me that this is Karuma. Karuma. We've got Mutsukashi. I want to say it's that. Cool. All right, spare time, free time, leisure. We're going to say, I feel like that might be Hema, to be honest. We'll take those. Hey, we're going to say is room. We've got Shinsetsu. I believe this is kind. Shiken is right there. Saturday is Duyobi. Hansamu. Right there. Nihonjin, Japanese person. Hot, warm, sultry. I believe that's. Is that Hima? No.
暑い
Atsui. Okay, noted. Ayata or Anata is tomorrow. What am I talking about right now? Yeah. Okay.
あなた
Anata is you. Noted. Kore. This.
これ
Kore. American person is Amerikajin. We've got Oishi. Good tasting.
おいしい
Oishi. Doctor physician is going to be Isha. I don't know why that took me so long. It was like on the tip of my tongue. We've got today, this day. We're going to say that is. What are we going to say that is?
Kyo
Kyo. Okay, I knew it started with a K. Alright, we've got Nata is you. Hot, warm, sultry, heated. We're going to say. It's not Isogashi. Atsui, right there. Famous, well known. I believe that's Yume. Genki is lively, full of spirit. Student is going to be I don't know if it's Gakse. I think it is actually.
学生
Gakse, cool deal. 83%. That's below our standards. Not good enough, but it's okay. We'll move on. We'll live. Got the Easter collab special. Pretty steez. Move on to some YouTube, and we're gonna do some learning practice. So this actually looks really, really radical. Not gonna lie.
皆さんこんにちは
In Hiroshima,
今
is
日の
this
動画では
is this what we
タ
saw?
クシー
Okay.
に乗ったり
Place looks really
ホ
cool.
テルにチェックインしたりロー
like
プ
a
ウェイに乗
completely
ったり
different
します
World. Oh, I saw some
一緒に
foreigners.
楽しく旅行しましょうここは広島県の尾道です
Very nice place. This place looks kind of futuristic almost.
ホテルまで歩いて15分です
15-minute walk to the
タ
hotel.
クシーに乗りましょう
Takushi.
タクシーのドアは運
Takushi.
転手さんが開けます
Oh,
はいお願いします
very nice car.
はいお願いしますあはい
Jason Momoa. Yeah.
閉めるのも運転手さんです駅前で朝ごはんを食べるのにいいとこってありますか
Taberu is eat.
なんて感じですかあんまない、朝やっているお店がないんだそうです
Oh, I didn't even realize Bro's got the he's got the old school GPS on going on in his thing. I guess in America we kind of take for granted like having built-in like dashboards and Apple CarPlay in every single car and everything. I think watching these videos kind of really helps you realize like, man, like our technology and what we consider essentially as like a baseline, it's kind of crazy when compared to like that of like other places in the world. If that makes sense. I'm not
だい
getting
た
any
い
audio.
10時
Okay.
頃開くと言っていました
Ah, she muted the audio. Talking shit to him.
はいどうもお疲れ様でした。
あ、ここですかはいペイペイとか使えるんです
現
か
金のみなんですよ。
現金のみ
はい
わかりましたちょっと待ってください日本ではわかりましたちょっと待ってください
Ah, it's interesting how Genki is like lively and full of spirit, and Genkin is cash.
日本では現金が必要なことが
Japan, you
Yoku
often need
arimasu.
cash. Noted.
領収書は？
お願いします、
はいはい。
領収書
He said, "Give me my
レ
money."
シートのようなものです
はい。
はい、すいませんありがとうございましたお疲れ様ですではホテルに
Oh,
入りま
it's
し
a
ょう
very nice looking hotel.
こんにちはロイヤルホテルですかここ、あ、よかったはい今日からはいチェックインは機械でした
Check-in,
チェックイ
check-in.
ンをしたら朝食朝ごはんがプランに入っていましたよかったですはいホテルの人は7時のことを7時と言いましたお店やホテルの人は7時を使うこ
It's
と
a
があり
pretty cool
ます
looking elevator door. It's a far cry from the
普通は
stainless steel
7時を使い
elevator
ま
doors
す
we typically have over here.
朝ごはんはとっても
I
美
would
味しかった
destroy
で
that.
す
I could probably kill this whole tray Oh, we have Gohan right there. Cool. Gohan means rice. Noted. Could probably kill this whole tray in about 3 minutes max, maybe. I don't know. I'm a pretty heavy eater. I don't
今
play
から
around when it comes to
景
food.
色のきれいなところに行きましょう。誰か走ってきました。エレベーターを降りてロープウェイに乗ります。
So I wonder if this is a different place entirely, or if this is like on
何
top
分
of the
で着く
hotel.
のか聞いてください。
山頂駅までおよそ3分で到着いたします。
お
Sancho
よ
is
そ
summit.
3分で到着しますと言っていました。およそというのは約
That is
と
beautiful.
か
That bridge, that scene of the bridge is freaking crazy.
だいたいという意味です。
It's kind of crazy to me. They can have as like advanced, or they can have as like nice a hotel as they did, and like you look around. Not to say these buildings aren't nice or anything, but like I don't know. It's like a nice contrast, I suppose. I don't even know what I'm saying.
向こうに海が見えてきました。大きい川のように見えますが、
Looks like a big river, but it's the
Yes.
ocean. It must be like an inlet sort of deal.
尾道水道と言います。
Onomichi Strait.
尾道水道を船で渡った動画があります。ぜひ見てみてください。今、ゴンドラが通っていきました。
That's gotta be such a cool experience. I'll do it one day.
電車が走っているのが見えますか？
And the train just goes through the heart of town.
本当に素敵な景色です。
Kashiki. Scenery. 本当に
今からロープウェイの最終便、つまり一番最後の時間を言います。何時か聞いてみてください。
please.
本日の最終便は5時15分となっております。
5時15分と言っていました。聞き取れましたか？はい、着きました。ロープウェイを降ります。
ありがとうございました。で、車券こちらに入れてください。ありがとうございます。
乗車券は降りるときに渡しました。
I wonder where she's going.
階段の向こうに展望
Oh
台
wow,
が
that is
見
a
えてき
very
まし
cool
た。
looking staircase. This looks like the final boss area, and like not final boss, but like one of the main rival fight areas in like a Pokemon game or something, or like you'd fight like the leader of the evil team, or even where you'd like catch a legendary.
展望台は景色を見
Had
る
to
た
nerd
め
out
の
for
場
a second.
所です。大きいクレーンがあるところは造船所だそうです。造船所というのは船を作るところです。ここ
Senkoji.
は千光寺公園というところの展望台です。ここ尾道市は箱庭的都市 として日本遺産になりました。箱庭というのは箱の中にいろんな景色を作るものです。ジオラマとも言います。
Diorama? There's diorama. Is that miniature garden she was talking about? It is. Very cool.
確かにすごく箱庭っぽい感じがします。来るときはロープウェイでしたが、帰りは歩きます。結構きつい坂です。
Does look like a pretty steep slope.
この眺めもいいですね。ここは千光寺というお寺です。時間が遅かったので閉まってました。急な階段を降りたらゲストハウスがありました。見晴らし亭というゲストハウスです。
Miharashi?
確か
Miharash?
に見晴らしが良さそうです。見晴らしがいいというのは遠くまでよく見えるという意味です。中には尾道についての
Onomichi?
本
Let's
な
see.
どがありました。かわいいタイルですね。下の方にいる人たちが写真を撮っていま
Seems
す。
like their weather there over in Japan.
何の
Not
写
even
真を
English.
撮ってるんでしょうか。
Seems like their weather over in Japan is relatively like
猫で
overcast
す。
pretty often. Oh, Neko.
この辺は
Bro's just chilling.
猫がたくさんいます。かわいいですね。
Kawaii.
こっちにも猫がいます。この先は細い道がたくさんあります。また猫がいますよ。何を見てるんでしょうか。後ろからも
Hopefully I don't get
猫
cut by
が
that barbed
来て
wire.
ます。でも何を見ているのかは
Demo.
わ
But
かりませんでした。この階段素敵ですね。
has a very cool pattern on those stairs.
この階段沿いに立っている家も素敵でした。ここは旅行者に貸してるみたいです。細い道が多くて楽しいです。ロープウェイに乗ったあたりに戻ってきました。次は倉庫をリノベーションしてホテルにしたところに 行き
That
ま
was a
しょう。
solid 9 out of 10 stretch. Holy cow.
ここはサイクリングをする人に人気のホテルだそうです。
Bikeland.
レストランやお店も入っています。昔っぽい通りに来ました。目の前がさっき言った千光寺です。これから夕飯を食べに行きます。お店はここです。
Ooh, this restaurant looks nice. Very bougie.
今から注文します。私の注文するものを聞いてください。すいません、注文しても大丈夫ですか？じゃあおまかせコースを2つと、はい、あと生ビール中と、
Oh, she getting a little rowdy with the medium
温
draft
かい
beer.
ほうじ茶を、はい、
Might have to mess up some sake too.
おまかせコースを2つと生ビールと温かいほうじ茶。
Amabiru. Draft beer.
おまかせではお店の人
Omakase?
が
The
出すも
staff
のを
decides
決
what
め
to
ます
serve. That's pretty interesting. So, what if they don't like you? They give you like the worst thing on
選
the
ぶ
menu?
必要がない
Or
の
I
で
guess they just assume what you
楽
like,
です。
sort of deal.
どれも
Ooh,
とっても美味しかったです。
yummy, yummy.
次の日の朝です。ホテルの窓
Oh,
から
that weather is beautiful.
千光寺が見えました。尾道水道沿いを駅まで歩きます。船がつないであります。ここは船に乗る場所です。ここから外に行けました。クラゲが見えます。
Jellyfish boats.
船が通り過ぎていきます。あの人たちは釣りをしています。
It's fish tsuri?
みんな
Tsuri.
で
Okay,
お
cool.
話しして
Tsuri.
楽しそうですね。またここから海沿いに出ます。
Mizui coastland.
海の近くを歩くのはとっても楽しいです。ここは階段になっています。海の中にまで階段が続いているのは珍しいんだそうです。
It's interesting how all the boats over there are
大
essentially
きな
commercial
クレー
boats
ンの
from,
あるところは
or like fishing boats
造
from like
船所です。
the appearance of it. Whereas like over here, like 90% of the boats you see at like a marina or
動い
whatever
ている
in
のが見え
in
ますか？
America is just like personal boats. It really kind of goes to show the disparity, I guess, in like wealth. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm talking out my ass. Who knows? Let's keep going.
何かを運んでいますね。 この青い船を作ってるんでしょうか。
That's pretty cool. You get to see like them build the ship right before your very eyes.
黄色い何かも
Something
動
yellow
い
is
ていま
moving.
す。すごいですね。
Sugoi. Sugoi.
何をしてい
New
るのか
vocab word. Hell yeah.
全くわかりません。でもずっと見ていたいくらいでした。チョン・ヨンスクさん、チュチュさん、スーパーサンクスをありがとうございました。感謝しております。このチャンネルを応援したいと。
Alright, say less. Gotta support the homie. Give him a like. Alright, we're gonna move on to some more technical skill development. We're gonna go to Alright. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with these internet kind of spurts or whatever. I'm for sure gonna get that addressed after the stream's over, because that shit's unacceptable. But yeah, let's keep moving. Let's learn some derivatives. Yeah, I'm not donating, sorry. Secant lines and average rate. Okay. Alright. Less than 2 secant lines. Slope of a line secant to curve.
So let's review the idea of slope, which you might remember from your algebra classes. The slope is just the rate of change of a line, or the rate of change of y with respect to x as we go along a line. And you could also view it as a measure of the inclination of a line. So the more inclined the line is, the more positive of a slope it would have. So this right over here, this has a positive slope. It's increasing as x increases. And if this had an even higher inclination like this, if it increased even more as x increases, then it would even have a higher slope. So this right over here is some line. So that's some line. And just as a reminder, we can figure out the slope between 2 points. 2 points define a line. And between those 2 points, we can find the rate of change of y with respect to x. So let's put 2 points on here. So let's say that this point right over here, this x value is x sub, well, this is pronounced x naught, or you just x sub 0 is just x naught. And when x is x naught for this line,
Yeah,
y is y
let me
naught.
pause this real quick. Yeah, as stated earlier, sorry, my internet's tweaking hardcore. We'll address this, or we'll address that matter after the stream for sure, because it's unacceptable. And yeah, I'm sorry, you guys have to put up with it.
Y naught. So this is the point x naught, comma, y naught. And let's say we have another point all the way over here. And let's say that this x value right over here is x sub 1. And the y value over here is y sub 1. So this is the point x sub 1, y sub 1. So just as a review, the slope of this line, and a line by definition has a constant slope between any 2 points that you pick. The slope of this line, which is often denoted by the letter m, is your rate of change of y with respect to x, or another way of thinking about it, for a given change in x, how much are you changing y, or change in y divided by change in x? Just as a reminder, this
Pretty
triangle, that's the
standard.
Greek letter delta. It's shorthand for change in whatever. So change in y over change in x. So let's think about what this is going to be for this example right over here. Well, let's think about change in x first. So we are moving from x naught to x1. So our change in x. So this is our change in x right over here. We're starting at x naught and going to x1. That is our change in x. I'll put that in that pink color. That is our change in x. And what is it equal to? Well, if we're ending here and we started here, let's just do ending point minus starting point. So it is x1 minus x naught. And that way, doing it this way, I would have made sure that I have a positive value. I'm just assuming that x1 is larger than x naught. And what is my change in y? Well, once again, ending point, ending y value minus starting y value. y1 minus y0. Now you might be saying, hey, could I have done y naught minus y1 over x naught minus x1? Absolutely, you could have done that. Then you would have just gotten the negative of each of these values on the numerator and the denominator, but they would have canceled out. The important thing is that you're consistent. If you're subtracting your starting value from your ending value in the numerator, you have to subtract your starting value from your ending
I think
value.
he's talking about basic stuff.
So this right here, you probably remember from algebra class. The
Yeah.
definition of slope. It's the rate of change of y with respect to x, or it's the rate of change of our vertical axis, I should say, with respect to our horizontal axis, or change in y, or change in our vertical axis, or change in our horizontal axis. Now I'm going to introduce a little bit of a conundrum.
Okay.
Draw another axis right over here. Scroll over a little bit just so we have some space to work with. So that was for a line. And a line, by definition, has a constant slope. If you calculate this between any 2 points, it's going to be any 2 points on the line, it's going to be constant for that line. But what happens when we start dealing with curves? When we start dealing with non-line or non-linear curves? So let's imagine a curve that looks something like this. That looks something like this. So what is the rate of change of y with respect to x of this curve? Well, let's look at it at different points, and we can at least try to approximate what it might be at any moment. So let's say that this is 1 point on a curve. Let's call that x1, and then this is y1. And let's say that this is another point on a curve right over here, x2, and let's call this y2. So this is point x1, y1, this is point x2, y2. So we don't have the tools yet, and this is what's exciting about calculus. We will soon have the tools to figure out what is the rate of change of y with respect to x at exactly this point. But we don't have that tool yet, but using just the tools from algebra, we can at least start to think about what is the average rate of change over the interval from x1 to x2. Well, what's the average rate of change? Well, that's just how much did my y change. How much did my y change? So that's my change in y for this change in x, for this change in x. And so we would calculate it the same way, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So our change in y over this interval is equal to y2 minus y1, and our change in x is going to be equal to x2 minus x1, x2 minus x1. So just like that, we were able to figure out the rate of change between these 2 points. Or another way of thinking about it is, this is the average rate of change for the curve between x equals x1 and x is equal to x2. This is the average rate of change of y with respect to x over this interval. But what have we also figured out here? Well, we figured out the slope of the line that connects these 2 points. So we figured out the slope of the line that connects these 2 points. And what do we call a line that intersects a curve in exactly 2 places? Well, we figured out, we call that a secant line. So this right over here is a
I was going to call it the line of best fit.
So the big idea here is we're extending the idea of slope. We said, okay, we already knew how to find the slope of a line. A curve, we don't have the tools yet, but calculus is about to give it to us. But let's just use our algebraic tools. We can at least figure out the average rate of change of a curve or of a function over an interval. That is the same exact thing as the slope of a secant line. Now, just as a little bit of foreshadowing, where is this all going? How will we eventually get the tools so that we can figure out the instantaneous rate of change, not just the average? Well, just imagine what happens is if this point right over here got closer and closer to this point, then the secant line is going to better and better and better approximate the instantaneous rate of change right over here, or you could even think of it as the slope of the tangent line.
All right, pretty cool. Move on. How long is this video? 4 minutes. All right, I'm going to hit up El Baño real quick. I'll be right back. And yeah, we can get this learning shindig on the way. Be right back. All right, break time is over. Let's get right to it.
Line intersects the curve y equals the natural log of x at 2 points with x coordinates 2 and 2 plus h. What is the slope of the secant line? Well, they're giving us 2 points on this line. It might not be immediately obvious, but they're giving us the points. When x is equal to 2, what is y? Well, y, they tell us, y is equal to the natural log of x. So in this case, it is going to be the natural log of 2. And when x is equal to 2 plus h, what is y? Well, y is always going to be the natural log of whatever x is. So it's going to be the natural log of 2 plus h. And so these are 2 points that sit on the secant line. This happens to be where the secant line intersects our curve, but these are 2 points on the line. And if you know 2 points on a line, you will then be able to figure out the slope of that line. And we can just remind ourselves that a slope is just change in y over change in x. And so what is this going to be? Well, if we view the second one as our endpoint, our change in y going from ln of 2 to ln of 2 plus h, so our change in y is going to be our endpoint, so natural log of 2 plus h minus our starting point, or our end y value minus our starting y value, natural log of 2. And then our change in x is going to be our ending x value, 2 plus h, minus our starting x value, minus 2. And of course, these 2's cancel out. And if we look here, it looks like we have a choice that directly matches what we just wrote. This right over here, natural log of 2 plus h minus natural log of 2 over h. Now, if you want to visualize this a little bit more, we could draw a little bit. I'm going to clear this out so I have space to draw the graph. Just so you can
Just realized when he talks about visualization and visualization in math, it's usually talking about graph.
And let me draw my
Kind of random, but
x-axis. And y equals the natural log of x is going to look, so let me underline that. That is going to look something like this. I'm obviously hand drawing it, so not a great drawing right over here. And so when we have the point 2 comma natural log of 2, which would be, let's say it's over, so if this is 2, then this right over here is the natural log of 2. So that's the point 2 comma natural log of 2. And then we have some other, we just know it in the abstract, 2 plus h. So it's 2 plus something. So let's say that is 2 plus h. And so this is going to be the point where we sit on the graph. That's going to be 2 plus h, comma the natural log of 2 plus h. And the exercise that we just did is finding the slope of the line that connects these two. So the line will look something like that. And the way that we did this is we figured out, okay, well, what is our change in y? So our change in, so let's see, we are going from y equals natural log of 2 to y equals natural log of 2 plus h. So our change in y is our natural log of 2 plus h minus natural log of 2, And our change in x, well, we're going from 2 to 2 plus h. We're going from 2 to 2 plus h. So our change in x, we just increased by h. We're going from 2 to 2 plus h. So our change in x is equal to h. So the slope of the secant line, secant it intersects our graph in 2 points, is going to be change in y over change in x, which is once again exactly what we have over there.
nice. Love it when stuff adds up. Slope of secant line, example
The
1.
curve has the equation y equals the natural log of x and passes through the points p equals e comma 1 and q is equal to x natural log of x. Write an expression in x that gives the slope of the secant joining p and q. So I think I'm going to need my little scratch pad for this one right over here. So this is the same question over again. And let's just try to visualize this curve right over here. So let me draw my axes. So let's say this is my y-axis. This is my y-axis, and then this is my x-axis. This is my x-axis right over here. That's my x-axis. And natural log of x. So let's think about it a little bit. The natural log of 0, e to what power is equal to 0? Well, that's going to be 1. So you're gonna have the point 1, 0 on this. So that's 1 right over there. And then the natural log of smaller and smaller numbers as we approach 0 is going to get more and more negative, all the way going down to negative infinity. So this curve is going to look something like this. It's going to look something like.
Even said just as a refresher. I mean, like this is like refreshing me like
and we know it also has
years,
the point
man.
e comma 1 on it. So it has the point, the natural log of e. So if that's 1, see, that'll be about 2. That'll be about 3. So that is e right over here, roughly e right over here. And that's the point e comma 1. So that's the point e comma 1 right over there. And I'll just mark that as P. They already gave us a label for it. So that is P. And we want to find the secant line between P and an arbitrary Q. For any given x, the y value is going to be natural log of x. So this could be, so let's say that this is our Q right over here. So let's say that this right over here is our, actually I'll just make it easier. I'll make the Q. Actually I want to make it clear that it is a, I'll do it out here. I'm being a little indecisive. So let's say that is our Q right over there, and that's the point x, natural log of x. And we want to find the slope of the secant line joining these 2 points. The slope of the secant line joining these 2 points. So this, the slope of this line, I want to try to make it so it doesn't look tangent, so it's secant. So you see it cuts through the curve. So that's the secant line right over there. It intersects the curve at P and at Q. So I want to find the slope of that secant line. Well, to find the slope of the secant line, I just need to find the change in y and the change in x between these 2 points. So what's the change in, so let's be clear here. This is the point, this is when x is equal to, well, it's just a kind of arbitrary x, and this right over here is the point ln x. So what is our change in x? Our change in x, this value right over here, our change in x is just going to be x minus e is equal to x,
x minus e.
And what is our change in y?
That's right.
Our change in y is going to be ln x, is going to be the natural log of x, minus 1. Minus 1, that's this distance right over here. So the slope of this line, the line that contains both of these points, the slope, and I could write m for slope, is going to be our change in y over our change in x, which is equal to ln x minus 1 over x minus e. And now we can just input that and make sure that we got that right. So let me try to remember it. ln x minus 1 over x minus e. So let me input that. So we have the natural log of x minus 1 over, and it interprets it nicely for us right below, so we make sure that we know what we're doing, over x minus e. And now let us check our answer. And we got it right.
All right, cool. Well, let's well, now that we've seen how the expert does it, the goat Sal Khan, let's try and do it ourselves. I'm on a little sleep, so my brain's not functioning as well as it would otherwise be, but you know, I think greatness is defined by how you perform in non-ideal circumstances. So yeah, a secant line intersects the graph of f of x equals 2 to the power of x at 2 points with x coordinates 3 and t. What is the slope of the secant line? Let me pull up Microsoft Paint. Hopefully my DPI isn't too high for me to write. Let me low key. Okay, we're going to do this. And then we're also do that right there. Oh, that right there. Okay. Let me adjust this. Okay. Hopefully that's visible. I'm looking at it on my second monitor. Having a squint. All right. So, secant line intersects the graph of f of x at 2 points. All right, now, well, what am I doing right now? A secant line intersects the graph of f of x equals 2 to the power of x at 2 points with x coordinates 3 and t. So we said obviously we got change, okay. We've got change in y, not y, over change in x. So for our points, a secant line intersects the graph of f of x equals 2x, or 2 to the power of x. So 1 point is going to be 3, my penmanship is very bad, 3, 3, TBD, and the other one is going to be t, TBD. Actually, so we might even be able to plug stuff in here now that I'm looking at it, maybe. Because, so my thought process is f of x equals 2 to the y, or 2 to the power of x. We already know 3 is one of our pairs, so we have to find the associated y. So we're going to plug 3 in for this function right here. F of x equals 2 to the power of x. So 2 cubed is what, 8? So 3 comma 8, that's a terrible 8. 3 comma 8. And then t would not just be 2 to the power of t as, okay, pretend that's a t. So then we would do change in y. So we do 8 minus 2 to the power of t over t. Wait, no. So if we're going to that first one, minus yeah. Okay. So then we'll do 3 minus t. I guess that's what it is. Maybe not. Okay, well, maybe we shouldn't have simplified it. Simplified 2 to the power of 3, because as we can see in our answers right here, make sure do that so you guys can see. We're gonna do, let's see, 2 to the power of 3 minus 2 to the power of t over 3 minus t. That one right there. Wait. Let me see. Let me make sure everything adds up. 3 minus t. No, okay. Okay, this should be right. Nice. Okay, cool. What is the average rate of change of the function f of x equals 2 to the power of x over the interval 3, comma 3 plus h? Let me clear off our little notepad right here. There's not a way I can. Oh wait, I can fill white. Okay. Control Z that. Pretend that didn't happen. File, new. Don't save. Okay. All right. Over the interval 3 plus h. I suppose we can plug that in similar to how we did, obviously, in the last one. So obviously changing. Okay, we're not going to be using this one. We go to a bigger size. Brushes. Brush. Okay, cool. Changing y. Changing x. All right, we're going to obviously plug in. So one of our numbers is 3, and the corresponding y value is going to be 2 to the power of 3. Okay. And then for our second point, it's going to be 3 plus h. And then obviously the power would be, and then obviously the y value would be 2 to the 3 plus h power. Okay. And then when we plug this in, we're changing y over changing x. We're going to get 2 to the 3 I need to make that more legible. 2 to the power of 3 minus 2 to the power of 3 plus h. And I'm not sure if I think I could simplify that theoretically, but I don't know if that's going to be what our answer is. All right, and then over, we're going to have 3 minus 3 plus h. So depending on how hard they simplify this, we can have h on the bottom. And then since the bases are the same up here, actually, let's see what our answers are. All right, h on the bottom. And then we have 2 to the 3 minus 2 to the 3 plus h. 2 to the, okay, I think all things considered, that should be good. Nice, let's go. A secant line, okay, let's clear this real quick. File, new, don't save. Secant line intersects the graph of y equals log of x at 2 points with x coordinates 8 and t. So obviously, I don't know if I need to write it, but change in y over change in x. So one of our points is going to be 8, comma, and then we're going to plug 8 in for x and to get our y value, which is going to be log of 8. And then our second coordinate is going to be t, comma, log of t. Again, sorry for the bad penmanship. So we're going to do log 8 minus log of t over 8 minus t. All right, log 8 minus log t. So, we could also do the inverse too. Log t minus log 8 over 8 minus t, or t minus 8. Just making sure that these line up. Log t, log t, log t, log t. Okay, should be this one. Cool. All right. Seems like this lesson's essentially just focusing on plug and play. Just making sure you get the concepts down. File, where's... I can't get to the bottom of this screen. I guess I have to just close. Am I gonna have to force shut this shit down? Escape? Okay, okay, there we go. File, new, don't save. So g of, actually I don't know if I even need to write all that. So let's go coordinate, 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 comma, comma. All right. X is going to be 6. Okay. This isn't going to work. Let me just write it out. 6, comma, and then plug that in. We get root 6. And then for our second coordinate is going to be 6 plus h, comma, root 6 plus h. Close that. Oh, sheesh. All right, close that puppy. So we're going to do change in y first. So we're going to do y2. So it's going to be root 6 plus h minus root 6 over 6 plus h minus 6. And that should be our answer. Root 6 plus h minus root 6 over 6 plus h minus 6, which you can cancel out, so that's h. Root 6 plus h minus root 6 over h. That one right there. Nice. Perfect hundo. Let's go. All right. I think we're gonna stop it there. Kind of surprised I got that as perfectly as I did. It wasn't pretty, but hey, we got to it. So I'm going to change gears a little bit from the math focus into another field that I want to try and kind of become proficient in. It'd be cool to just challenge my brain to think in a lot of different ways. So as such, I want to try and learn some C++. But first, we're gonna watch this.
How does your car's air conditioning system
Because
keep you
this
cool
seems pretty
on those
interesting,
scorching
and
hot
my
days?
AC
Let's
is
take
out
a
in my
closer
car,
look
so
at
it
how
can
the
be
car
practical.
AC works. The car AC system
Okay. File, new. Wait. Let me do that. Don't save. Okay.
operates on the principles of thermodynamics and fluid mechanics. It consists of several key components working together to cool the air inside your vehicle. First, we will see the locations of all components and after that their functions. The first one is the compressor. It is mounted on the engine block, usually at the front of the engine block, or mounted on brackets attached to the engine, near the radiator and condenser. Condenser coil, located in front of the vehicle's radiator, near the front grille. Receiver dryer, located between the condenser and the expansion valve, often near the condenser. Expansion valve, typically located near the firewall, close to where the refrigerant lines enter the cabin. Evaporator coil, inside the vehicle's cabin, typically behind the dashboard. It is housed within the HVAC unit, that is heating, ventilation, and air conditioning unit. And blower motor fan, it is also located inside the vehicle's cabin, usually within the HVAC unit, near the evaporator. And the refrigerant gas is a specialized fluid that is used to circulate inside the air conditioning system. Let's see how it functions together. When the AC is turned on, the climate control unit sends a signal to engage the AC compressor clutch. The compressor is typically belt-driven, meaning it is connected to the engine's crankshaft pulley via a belt. As the engine runs, it drives the compressor, providing the mechanical energy necessary to compress the refrigerant gas. The compressor consists of one or more pistons housed inside cylinders, which compresses the refrigerant gas. The refrigerant initially enters the compressor as a low-pressure gas. This gaseous refrigerant is then compressed by the compressor, which increases its pressure and temperature significantly. After being compressed by the compressor, the refrigerant gas exits the compressor as a high-pressure, high-temperature gas.
I think my car might need a new compressor.
This hot gas flows into the inlet of the condenser, which is usually located at the front of the vehicle, near the radiator to take advantage of the airflow when the car is moving. The condenser is made up of a series of tubes and fins that provide a large surface area for heat exchange. As the hot refrigerant gas from the compressor flows through the condenser coils, it releases heat to the surrounding air. The condenser fan and vehicle motion ensure that sufficient air passes over the condenser to dissipate heat effectively, enhancing the cooling process. As the refrigerant loses heat, it begins to change from a high-pressure gas to a high-pressure liquid. This is called phase change. This phase change occurs because the refrigerant's temperature drops below its condensation point as it releases heat. The cold refrigerant is now cycled back through the receiver dryer. The receiver dryer helps separate any remaining gas from the liquid refrigerant. The internal structure of the receiver dryer facilitates this separation, ensuring that only liquid refrigerant flows to the expansion valve. The filtered, moisture-free, and high-pressure liquid refrigerant exits the receiver dryer and flows towards the expansion valve. The expansion valve is a vital component in a car's air conditioning system, responsible for regulating the flow of refrigerant from the high-pressure side to the low-pressure side of
That
the
looks
system.
rather questionable.
When the high-pressure liquid refrigerant passes through the expansion valve, it encounters a sudden drop in pressure. This pressure drop causes a further drop in temperature, leading to a partial phase change of the refrigerant from liquid to vapor. The refrigerant exits the expansion valve as a mixture of liquid and vapor and enters the evaporator. The evaporator is typically located inside the HVAC unit behind the dashboard, and it is typically made of aluminum or copper. These coils contain the refrigerant that absorbs heat from the air. Fins attached to the evaporator coils increase the surface area for improved heat transfer. The evaporator coils are cold because the refrigerant inside them has undergone a phase change from a high-pressure liquid to a low-pressure gas, causing a total drop in temperature. Now warm cabin air from the interior of the vehicle is drawn into the HVAC unit by the blower fan. As the warm cabin air passes over the evaporator coils, the refrigerant inside the coils absorbs heat from the air and makes it cooler. Then now cooled air is blown out of the HVAC unit by the blower fan and circulated into the vehicle's cabin through the air vents. Air vents distribute the cooled air throughout the vehicle's cabin, providing a comfortable environment for the occupants. In addition to cooling the air, the evaporator also plays a role in dehumidifying it. As warm air passes over the cold evaporator coils, moisture in the air condenses on the coils, forming water droplets.
Two ex-NASA engineers just created a way to cool rooms in under 90 seconds using barely any power.
These water droplets are collected and drained out of the vehicle, reducing the humidity level inside the cabin and improving comfort. It ensures a comfortable, cool, and pleasant environment for the vehicle's occupants. Now let's talk about the AC cabin air filter and the recycle button.
That last part was pretty interesting because I know that sometimes when you're like running AC in a car, at least I've noticed this, like oftentimes there's not like a puddle or anything, but it's like obviously the coolant runoff. I think it was saying there the condensation, and I guess that just kind of makes sense. But yeah, I just remember when like I first saw that, like what am I trying to say? I don't even know. It's pretty cool though. Let me formulate my thoughts real quick. Yeah, so when I first saw like that little pool or like that area of like damp concrete underneath the car, I thought stuff wasn't running right, but it's cool that this video provided a reasoning for why sometimes underneath the car there's like an area of like damp stuff, because that's the condensation runoff. There we go.
These components play a crucial role in ensuring you have clean air and a comfortable environment inside your vehicle. Here's how it works. When the recycle button is off, the system draws fresh air from outside. This helps to ventilate the cabin and reduce stuffiness. Fresh air can also help clear foggy windows more effectively, especially in humid conditions. When the recycle button is activated, the car's HVAC system stops the flow of air from outside and recirculates the air already inside the cabin. By recirculating the already cooled air, the AC system can cool the cabin more quickly and efficiently. Recirculation mode or fresh air mode, the air should be filtered. For this, an air filter is used. The AC cabin air filter is typically located behind the glove compartment or under the dashboard on the passenger side of the vehicle. When you turn on your car's AC, air is drawn from outside or recirculated from inside the cabin. This air passes through the cabin air filter, which captures contaminants and provides cleaner air. The filtered air is then distributed through the vents, ensuring you breathe clean air while driving. The refrigerant, now in gaseous form, exits the evaporator and flows to the compressor again. The compressor receives the low-pressure gas, compresses it, and again sends it to the condenser, and the process repeats. The cycle continues as long as the AC system is turned on and the blower fan is operating, with the evaporator absorbing heat from the cabin air, the condenser releasing heat to the outside air, and the expansion valve controlling the refrigerant flow between the two. This continuous cycle allows the AC system to maintain a comfortable cabin temperature and humidity level while the vehicle is in operation. But how does the AC compressor work in an EV? Let's look at how things are done in electric vehicles. In EVs, the AC compressor is powered by an electric motor. This motor is driven by the vehicle's high-voltage battery system. Electric compressors have fewer moving parts and do not rely on belts, which can reduce maintenance needs and improve reliability.
That must be nice. So what they're saying is if I had an EV, I
While
wouldn't
both
even have to
IC
worry
and
about
EV
fucking shelling out
AC
the money for a new
compressors achieve
compressor.
the same goal of
Very
cooling the
cool.
vehicle's interior. We hope this explanation has given you a better
That was
understanding.
actually really helpful. Let's like that shit up. All right. Then we're going to move on to intro to C++. C++ tutorial for beginners. Introduction to C++. What's the most recent one? It looks like this dude, Programming with Mosh. Okay. We're only going to watch like 10 or so minutes of this. But yeah.
So the first time you open CLion, you're going to see this pop-up box for activating your license. For now, just select.
Oh, why am I here?
Ryan Miller invests the way he wants to invest.
Ryan sets his investments to automatic.
That
Welcome to the Ultimate C++ course. In this course, you're going to learn everything you need to know about C++, from the basics to more advanced concepts.
I'm gonna
So by the
save
end of this
this.
course, you'll be able to write C++ code with confidence. If you're looking for a comprehensive, easy to follow, well-organized, and practical course that takes you from zero to hero, this is the right C++ course for you. You don't need any prior knowledge of C++ or programming in general. Everything you need to know about C++ is in one place, so you don't need to jump back and forth between random tutorials. My name is Mosh Hamadani. I'm a software engineer with over 20 years of experience, and I've taught millions of people how to code through this channel and my online school,
Ooh, bro's flexing the views on
If
us.
you're new here, be sure to subscribe as I upload new videos all the time. Now let's jump in and get started. Before we start coding, let's spend a couple of minutes and talk about C++, what you can do with it, and how to master it. C++ is one of the most popular programming languages in the world and is the language of choice for building performance-critical applications, video games, device drivers, web browsers, servers, operating systems, and so on. That's why it's used by large companies like Adobe.
Let me preface this by saying one of the reasons I mean, probably the main reason I want to learn C++ is because it's the hardest programming language to learn. Obviously, they're all different and everything, as far as I can tell. But I think it'd be easier if I ever wanted to learn another language to kind of just start by learning the hardest one and make my life easier down the road.
Google, Microsoft, Netflix, and even government agencies like NASA, just to name a few. Every 3 years, we get a new version of C++, and the latest version at this time is version 20. The next version is coming out next year. Now, there are people like our famous superstar developer, John Smith, who think that C++ is no longer relevant because of the newer languages like Java or C#. That is not true. C++ is still one of the fastest and most efficient languages available. So if you want to build an application that needs to be fast and use memory efficiently, C++ is a great choice. This is an advantage that it has over languages like C# and Java. C++ is also one of the first languages often taught to computer science or software engineering students because it has influenced many programming languages like C#, Java, JavaScript, TypeScript, Dart, and so on. So if you're looking for a job as a software engineer, learning C++ is a great investment and opens a lot of doors.
Job. See, I can never turn down the woman in the red dress that is the unemployment life, but
for you.
I like to
According
learn
to
still.
Indeed.com, the average salary of a C++ programmer in the US is just over $170,000 a year. Now, to master C++, there are two things you need to learn. One is the C++ language itself, meaning the syntax or the grammar of this language. The second thing you need to learn is the C++ standard library or STL, which is a collection of pre-written C++ code that provides functionality that is required by many applications. Examples are data structures like lists and maps, and algorithms for searching and sorting data. These functions are required in almost every application. So instead of us creating all this functionality from scratch every single time, we can reuse some of the C++ code in this library to quickly build applications. In this course, we'll explore major functionalities in the standard library, but the standard library is huge, so we'll only scratch the surface. If you want to learn more, there are books specifically written on this topic. Now, a lot of people find C++ a bit extensive and intimidating, but in reality, you don't need to learn all of C++ to be able to write substantial programs. For the same reason, you don't need to learn every feature your TV provides just to use and enjoy it. So in this course, we're going to explore C++ step by step, and as we go, I'm going to show you how you can write some really cool programs as you're learning C++. Plus, I'm going to give you plenty of exercises to help you better understand and remember the concepts. Then you will see that C++ is not really that difficult. So if you follow along, by the end of this course, you'll be able to write C++ code with confidence. All right, next we're going to talk about the tools you need to write C++ programs.
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
Popular IDEs.
To create C++ programs, we use an integrated development environment or IDE, which is basically an application that contains
It's
an
like
editor
VS
for writing
Code.
code, as well as build and debugging tools. Now, there are so many different IDEs out there. Some of them are free, the others are commercial. But the top three ones are Microsoft Visual
There we
Studio
go.
for Windows. The Community Edition is free. You can get it from the link on the screen.
MS Visual Studio. Download. All right, let's open that exe executable file. Okay, continue. Got the installer going. Okay. Cool deal.
There is also a Mac version, but the one on the Mac is not really that great. For Mac, you can use Xcode, which you can get from the App Store. We also have CLion, which is cross-platform, so it runs on Windows, Mac, and Linux. You can try it for free for 30 days, but then it requires a license. If you don't want to pay for a license, you can use one of the free alternatives. Again, there are so many different ideas available for creating C++ programs. In this course, I'm going to use CLion, but you don't have to use it to follow along. You can use any tool you prefer because our focus here is not on tooling. It's on the C++ language itself. Now, if you're an absolute beginner and you have never coded before, I recommend you to download the free version of CLion so you can easily follow along, and then later you can either get a license or use one of the free alternatives. So head over to jetbrains.com/clion/download. Again, you can see we have versions for Windows, macOS, and Linux.
Yeah, I'll probably use
Just note that if you're on
VS
Mac,
Code.
make sure to download the right DMG because here we have two different builds. One is for Intel, the other is for Apple Silicon. So depending on the type of processor that your Mac uses, make sure to download the right DMG because the difference in performance is significant. All right, so go ahead and install this. In the next lesson, we're going to create our first C++ program together. So the first time you open CLion, you're going to see this pop-up box for activating your license. For now, just select Start Trial. Now you need to log into your JetBrains account. So over here, you can either sign in or create a new account. It's really simple. It's only going to take a minute or two. So I'm going to sign in with my account. Good. Now back to CLion. We can start our trial.
What do I need to do for VS Code here? Tax, push, workloads. C++. So shouldn't take us too long here. Installer might take a little bit. All right, we're just gonna try and
now on this page, we're going to click on New Project. Now on the top, we can specify the location of this project. So on my Mac, it's going to be on users/my name/CLion project. I'm going to call this project Hello World, all in one word without any spaces, okay? Now over here, we can specify the C++ language standard. So by default, version 14 is selected, but we can change that to a higher version like 20 or 23. Now, because 23 is not official yet, I would suggest you to go with 20. Good. Now let's create this project. All right, here's our first C++ program written in a file called main.cpp. If you accidentally close it, you can easily find it in the project window. So expand this folder, and here is main.cpp. Now we have another file in this project called cmakelists.txt. We don't need that, so let's close it from here. Now we have the same concept in other IDEs like Visual Studio or Xcode. So we have a project, and that project contains a file that is the main file of our program. Now let's close this window. I'm going to delete all this code because we're going to write it from scratch so you understand how everything works. All right, let's start with a metaphor. Think of your TV. Your TV has several functions. It has functions for changing the channel, controlling the volume, and so on. By the same token, a C++ program consists of tens or hundreds or thousands of functions, each serving a purpose. Now we have a special function here called main, which is the entry point to our program. This is like the power button of a TV, okay?
Okay.
Now, note that
so
C++,
like in HTML, this main would be like the HTML tag, essentially.
Is a case-sensitive language, so it's sensitive to lowercase and uppercase letters. So make sure to type this exactly as I show you. So if you type a capital M here, this is going to have a different meaning, okay? So we're defining a function. Now, before the function name, we should specify the type of value it's going to return. This main function should return a value of type int, which is short for integer, and that represents a whole number, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So when we run our program, the operating system, like Windows or Mac OS, is going to execute this function, and the value that this function returns tells the operating system if our program terminated successfully or not, okay? So here we have int, followed by a white space, and then the name of the function. Now, white spaces in C++ are often ignored, so whether we have 1 or 10 spaces, it doesn't really matter. But in terms of formatting our code, it's better to go with 1 space because we want to format this code professionally, just like how we write an article. We want to format our code just like a published article, okay? Now, after the function name, we type a pair of parentheses, and inside the parentheses, we can specify the parameters of this function. So a function can have 0 or more parameters. For now, let's not worry about them. We'll talk about them later. Then we type a space, again for proper formatting, followed by a pair of braces. Now, inside the braces, we can type the code for this function. So whatever we type here will be executed when the operating system executes our main function. Now, once again, in terms of formatting, there are 2 schools of thought for adding the braces. Some people like to add the left brace on the same line as the function. The other people like to put the left brace on a new line. There's really no right or wrong here. So whatever you prefer, just stick to that and make sure your code is consistent. In this course, I'm going to put the left brace on the same line where we define a function. Okay? Now, in this function, we want to write code to print something on the screen. And for that, we're going to use the C++ standard library. So earlier I told you that the standard library provides a bunch of capabilities that we need in almost every application. So on the top, we type hashtag include, and in angle brackets, we specify the name of one of the files in the standard library. That is IO stream, which is short for input, output, stream. In this file, we have capabilities for printing something on the screen or getting input from the user. So just like a supermarket has different sections, the standard library also has different files, each serving a purpose. Now, as we go through the course, you will learn about the other files in the standard library, okay? So back to our main function. Now here we type std, that is short for standard library. And this is like a bucket or a container for the features that are currently available to us. So the features we have imported on the top, okay? So if we type double colons, we can see all these features. Now there are a ton of features here. Don't worry about any of them. In this lesson, we're going to use cout. That is short for character out. Some people think this is short for console out.
So that might be similar to like print.
So using this
like
object,
Python,
we can output one or more characters on the screen. So we type a space, followed by 2 left angle brackets, another space, and then in double quotes, we type the text we want to print on the screen. So hello world, okay? And then we terminate this line using a semicolon, just like how we terminate our sentences with a period. So in C++, this line is called a statement because it tells the operating system what to do. So whenever we type a statement, we should terminate it with a semicolon, okay? Now finally, we return the value of 0, and once again, we need to terminate this with a semicolon. But why 0? Well, 0 tells the operating system that our program is going to terminate correctly. If we return any other values, positive or negative, that means our program encountered an error, okay? So let's quickly recap what we have done so far. On the top, we included one of the files in the standard library for printing something on the screen. Then we defined the main function, which is the entry point to our program. Now, as you can see, the main function returns an integer, which is a whole number like 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. And in between the braces, we have written the code for this function. So on the first line, we print something on the screen. And on the second line, we return the value of 0. As simple as that. This is your first C++ program. Next, I'm going to show you how to compile and run this program. Now, to run this program, first we have to compile this code to machine code that can be run by the computer's operating system. So the machine code is basically the native language that a computer's operating system understands, and it's different from one operating system to another. So if we compile this code on a Windows machine, we get an executable, but that executable only runs on Windows. We cannot run it on Mac or Linux. If you want to run our application on a Mac computer, we have to take this code on a Mac and recompile it to get an executable from Mac, okay? So back to our code. To run this program, we're going to click on this play icon on the toolbar. Now look at the shortcut. On Mac, it's Control and R. Always use shortcuts because they make your life easier. So let's run this program. We get this little window down the bottom. This is called the console or the terminal window. It's basically a way to see the output of our program. So over here, you can see the hello world message. So we're using a console application here because console applications are easier to create, especially for people learning a new language. Building applications with a graphical user interface or GUI is way more complex. So once you understand the basics of C++, you'll be ready to move on to writing applications with a graphical user interface if that's what you want, okay? Now, let's minimize this window and make a tiny problem in this code. So I'm going to remove this semicolon. Now, let's rerun our program. All right, look, This time, we get a compilation error pointing
It's a lot of
to this line.
text.
So the error is reminding us that we have forgotten a semicolon.
Oh, it's nice.
If you're starting out, it's completely normal to encounter these errors if you have a typo or miss a semicolon and so on. Don't let that discourage you. Remember, patience is the first skill of a good programmer. So if your code doesn't get compiled, pay close attention to this video, see what exactly I'm typing, compare it with your code. I promise, if you pay close attention, you'll be able to solve issues on your own. So let's fix the issue. All right, let's move on to the next lesson.
Is that the end of the compiling chapter? I think it is. All right, so we're probably gonna stop it there. It's pretty interesting to see how the print world thing differs from C++ to something that I'd learned briefly, which was Python a little bit, but I was really not good at Python. So yeah, I'm essentially a newbie. Yeah, I think that's gonna do it for today's entry in the learning journey. Yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Sorry for the technical difficulties, as well as just not being more consistent. You know, if there's one thing I want to be, it's a man of my word. And yeah, moving forward, I really want to try and be, honestly, fuck trying. I'm going to be a lot more consistent in learning and doing this. So yeah, again, thanks for tuning in. If there's anything you want to learn, you know, trying to sound cliche or corny or anything, get out there and learn it. You know, our time on this earth is really, in the grand scheme of things, rather limited, and I see no reason why you shouldn't get out there and try your best and try to learn whatever your heart desires. 'Cause, you know, this life will be over before you know it. Anyways, with that out of the way, thank you guys for tuning in.